Welcome to Climbing Together, the small business experience. I'm Beth Houtrow, founder of Climb the Small Business Book Club, and every episode I talk to a small business owner about a mistake that they've made and what they learned from the experience. Mistakes are inevitable, perfection's impossible, so let's embrace the mistake. And today we're so excited to welcome Audrey Mayrent to the podcast. Audrey, tell me a little bit about you and your business.
Well, first of all, Beth, thank you for having me. The name of my business is called My Dancing Dragonfly, and I make jewelry that helps people share their stories. So the Cliffs Notes version is, I'm a victim of abuse, and I felt it was so important when I chose to become a victor rather than a victim to have a talisman to wear to share as my special thing, because you could stay a victim and live one kind of life, or you could choose to take control of your life where you can. So my jewelry helps celebrate those successes.
Wow, that is amazing. I love that. All right. Well, that's so beautiful, but we are going to go into something a little less beautiful, which is talking about mistakes. So tell me about a mistake that you made early on with your business.
Okay, well, I had been very excited to become a seniorpreneur, and at the tender age of 68, I opened my online business last year, and I did it a little sooner than I should have. I was working with some coaches, and their advice to me was just do it, just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect, so go out and do it. And against everything in my being, I did it. And it didn't feel right. My message didn't come across right on my website. I didn't feel like I was able to share the story I needed, nor did I feel I was really reaching the people I wanted to reach. So listening to them, I get that. Yes, you have to rip off the Band-Aid, because if you're a perfectionist, you can't wait until something's absolutely perfect. But I should have waited longer. I should have listened to my inner voice. And when it said, hey, maybe you should hold off a few months. Don't worry so much about the Christmas season, and do this when you're really ready, when you feel like you have all of the puzzle pieces put together.
Yeah, I love that advice. As a coach, I'm a bit guilty of being like, just start. But I also do really try to talk to people about there's like the common wisdom and then there's the wisdom that works for you, right? And so sometimes the common wisdom isn't the right thing for you and your business and your life and whatever's going on. And so I appreciate that advice to me as a coach, also as a reminder that this is how you should do it wisdom isn't right for everybody, right? And that we need to be better at listening to the people we're working with and listening to the feelings that they're having. So I really appreciate that note. And yeah, I obviously got through it. We're still here. So do you have a piece of advice for entrepreneurs as they're moving forward?
I have a couple. One is to please be smart about your choices. There are so many coaches out there, and they're wonderful, but not everyone is the most wonderful for you. So make sure you choose people to support you who are really, really good at what they do and who feel like a right fit for you. Secondly, listen to your gut. It usually won't steer you wrong unless it tells you stupid things like about imposter syndrome, like, who do you think you are thinking people want your stuff? Don't listen to that voice. That's the negative inner voice. Listen to the positive inner voice that says, you've got this. You've got a great team working with you. Develop your team. Know who your people are. Know how you want to reach them. Have your message be consistent and thorough, and you'll do great.
I love that. That's great advice. I appreciate that. All right. Well, so at Climb the Small Business Book Club, we have two tenets. One is on continual learning, and one is about community. And I know you have a couple books. Obviously, we love books at the book club. You have a couple books that you've read that have been impactful for both your business and your life.
Yeah, it's interesting how one started out to be completely personal and ended up impacting business. The other one was more business and ended up impacting personal. And throw my glasses on so I can actually read you these titles. So the first one is a book called Crucial Conversations: Tools for Talking When the Stakes Are High. And it's written by Joseph Grenny and about 15 other people, I think. There's a whole list of them. I won't go through that. It'll take up the whole podcast. But the crux of Crucial Conversations is that it teaches you how to have a conversation where you get what you need from it. So, as a for instance, we had a person we were working with, and I had gotten some really negative feedback from this person. I was working in an HR department at the time, and I lost a really great candidate as the recruiting manager because she didn't care for how this person treated other people. I
Mm.
had to take that to my CEO, but I had to be careful because she did a lot of other things that drove me up the wall, that I limited it to just a couple really strong talking points. And because I did that, he took me seriously and we were able to work out a solution. If I had just gone babbling on, which is, I was upset and righteously indignant and all of that, we probably never would have gotten to a point of accord and probably never would have found any kind of resolution that would have worked. So it really helps you pinpoint, what your talking points really are, and to kind of like how you do your business day. If you're like me and you have a brain dump, and then you kind of say, what are the three most important things I need to do today? And this is number one, this is number two, this is number three. It works like that. So I'm going to talk to you about something serious. What's my real point? What is the main issue that needs to be discussed, and kind of go from there. So that was a life changer for me because I'm a middle child and I'm Switzerland, and I always wanted to make sure I was being fair and was I saying too much or too little. So I highly recommend it. I think it's in its third edition now, something like that. They keep reprinting it. It's a
Okay.
great book. The book that really was a life changer for me is called Toxic Parents: Overcoming Their Hurtful Legacy and Reclaiming Your Life by Dr. Susan Forward and Craig Buck. And the crux of that book is that it talks really about, I come from a background of emotional abuse, and it's really painful to deal with things like that. And when I chose to not be a victim anymore, I did what they recommend. Their main recommendation was to write an anger letter to my parents and then burn it. Well, I wrote it on toilet paper because I didn't have a place to burn it. And my water bill went up that month because I think I flushed 2 rolls down the toilet, one at a time. But the point is, in business and in life, you really need to surround yourself with people who are positive influences, who really respect you, who are there in your corner, who want the best for you, who will give you constructive feedback because that's important, but also, kind of quell the negativity. And if you find that somebody is truly toxic for you, then that's a relationship you need to walk away from. Could be somebody who was your, virtual assistant for 2 years, and then suddenly you realize this person is not doing right by you, by what you need her to do. And so maybe you both need to go in different directions, and that's okay. But you don't have to take it on
Yeah.
yourself, and you don't have to be treated other than how you'd like to be treated.
That is great advice. And it could be, yeah, with a virtual assistant, it could be with a client who's maybe not treating you well, or like a business partner. So yeah, I was like, how are you going to make toxic parents work into this? But it's perfect advice. It sucks the life out of you when you are working with someone who doesn't treat you well. So yeah, that's great. Okay. Well, and our last thing here is about community. So tell me how you've built community around you of other entrepreneurs.
Well, the strange and interesting thing for me has been that I moved to Tampa, Florida in 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic. So we moved here I have family who lives here, but I didn't know a single soul. So finding community was an interesting thing. And thanks for things like Zoom and, podcasts and workshops and summits and things like that, I was able to meet a number of people. And most importantly, I have found some really amazing women entrepreneur network networking groups online. And the ideas and sharing with these women has just been phenomenal and really has meant the world to me. It's really opened things up.
That's amazing and so important. Yeah. It's just, I say it all the time. So the listeners are like, we get it, Beth. But it's so important to have people around you who can support you and understand the journey of being an entrepreneur and how challenging that can be. Well, Audrey, that's our podcast today. Thanks so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Beth. I've really had a good time.
This podcast is brought to you by Climb the Small Business Book Club, where entrepreneurs go to learn, discuss, apply, and grow. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe at Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, or follow us on Instagram at Climb Book Club. And always remember, mistakes are inevitable, perfection's impossible. So let's embrace the mistake.